All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming and welcome to our presentation regarding sustainable and profitable returns management. We're going to explain you how to turn a risk into an opportunity. And before jumping right into the topic, quickly to ourselves, Petra as a key account management manager, me as a business development manager. We're actually a Dutch company, but we're located in Cologne, Germany. So before jumping right into the topic, I wanted to know from you, who of you ever bought a used item before, or like a second-hand item?
Very good.
Great. If you did not raise your hand, can you ever imagine buying one of those? Okay, all right. It's kind of like close to our survey that we conducted like last year. Hold that thought for 1 second and think about your reasons or your intentions behind buying a used product. Yeah, so of course, price will always be one of our key drivers in our buying decisions. Of course, we're always very price conscious. However, we see here that sustainability is no longer a trend, but it's actually motivating not only the hippies with the jute tote bags, but actually more than 1/3 of us.
Yeah, but let's do a little change of perspective because we're actually here on that e-commerce. So let's take the perspective of e-tailers or retailers. Why is return management actually considered such a challenge? And looking into this, we can see that in terms of return management, there's 2 areas which are very heavily affected once the item comes back. This is firstly operation, because you can see that costs increase. And secondly, sales, because you might miss some know-how, because a return is obviously to be handled differently than a normal or like original item. And this would result in, firstly, that you need to implement different processes, you need to have additional storage capacities, and once an item comes back and might be damaged, what do you do with it, right? So there's questions to be asked, what in the first place you might not have even considered, also regarding the personnel, let's say. And once you've maybe got your product back and now know what to do with it, the question is where to sell it. How do you get back to your target group without having your original product? And how can you somehow manage to get the best value or the best price out of the resale? So putting this all together, we have said, or like we experienced so far, that you have 3 main obstacles when managing returns. And the first one is obviously you focus a lot on your A grades and you focus on your market share. So therefore, the lack of priority is something where people do not invest into returns. Secondly, depending on how big your product portfolio is, getting your returns back would mean a lot of complexity. So that means the complex process that in the end would be created by getting back products are quite, as I said, complex. And then the underestimation of the profit, because actually, if you look into this, you could even not only save money dealing with returns, but you could even increase your profits. And therefore, actually, it's a strategic advantage. But as I just said, let's have a closer look to this, because do not worry, there's good news, I guess.
Yes, we talked a lot about hurdles and obstacles to take, and that return management can be a risk, or like handling returns. But we want to tell you that the most profitable solution can also be the most sustainable one. So the good news is there are solutions, there are partners, but we want to show you what aspects to consider and what to do to find the right partner, and also what BuyBay brings to the table. All right, so that's how BuyBay is doing things. So at BuyBay, we follow a standardized 5 to 6 steps approach. So we start with sorting the items while processing them. We do a thorough grading, so we do it both visually and technically, as well as, if needed, repairing and refurbishing those items. Afterwards, it's all about the sale of returns. We start here with a smart pricing strategy. Then we do a bulk listing on all like big European marketplaces. And then afterwards, the fulfillment and customer service, after sales. Right, how we do the first part of it, the processing of returns, is to see here in our video. So this is our warehouse in Wijchen, the Netherlands. This is one of our docking stations where the returns come into our warehouse. It's our inbound hall where we first get in touch with the products. We count every single one of them, and they get a sticker, which is here in yellow, which is called our license plate. So every item is unique. and then it's sorted based on its product category. Why is it being sorted? We have several stations that a product is running through. Based on the product category, we decide where it's going into our warehouse. And then it gets to our holy grail, our grading stations. So every product category has a specialized grading station because, of course, a washing machine is being handled differently than a laptop, for example. We have very well-trained staff who is both technically and visually grading the items based on a very smart software. Then we also create content of it, so we take photographs as well as write something about it to then be able to resell it on our platforms, and we always mark the defects or scratches on it to be as transparent as possible. As I said before, a laptop is handled differently than a washing machine, so of course we also do the data wiping due to GDPR. And then it's being stocked. What does it mean to be stocked? It's not only physically stocked in our warehouse, but being on stock also means that we're gonna bulk list it on the biggest European marketplaces at the same time to the best price possible before it leaves again our warehouse. So you saw a lot about how we process returns. Now it's about how we're selling them. So I told you that when it's on stock, it gets priced based on a smart pricing algorithm that's altering the price like several times a day to be able to sell the item at the best price possible. We do a mass listing at the same time on the biggest European marketplaces like Amazon, Bol.com, Kaufland, Back Market, eBay, you name them. Afterwards, we do the fulfillment, the customer service, and the after sales. To give you a better example how we do things, again, those are the marketplaces, for example, where we're currently to be seen. For example, we took a saw blade that we got from Contorion, for example, and we published it on eBay, we published it on Amazon, we published it on Bol.com, as well as on Kaufland. You see differences in prices. As I said, it's always looking for the best price possible based on the current market price as well as the marketplace we published it on.
Yeah, and as I just said in the beginning, there are solutions for that. And now you've just seen how some of us might do it. But does that mean now that everyone who is in an e-tail business can manage their return on their own now?
Not sure, let's check.
So who of you being present here is an e-tailer, retailer, or sells products? Aha.
All right. Do you all manage your returns in-house?
Nodding, yeah.
Yes, no,
and
great.
Very good.
All right.
And the rest would say you outsource it? Okay, I see nodding again.
Great.
All right. Because actually what we did is we created kind of a little checklist to figure out what to do when having returns if you want to do it in-house. And these are several questions, but we categorized or clustered them into 3 main areas. And the first of all would obviously be the enough and trained staff. That means that once a return comes back, you would obviously need the personnel to deal with it, but also you have to have the trained staff, since you have to create new content, since you have to maybe take pictures, and you have to have the knowledge what to look out for once a coffee machine comes back or once a washing machine comes back. So there's a difference of what is happening.
And of course, we all know we have some low and peak seasons in the season, right? Do I know that I always have the right amount of personnel to take care of it? The second kind of like bigger aspect is the hardware in terms of, do I really have the storage capacity? Do I have the right facilities? And do I have the right hardware and software to carry my processes?
Yeah. And then last but not least, it would be the know-how in terms of sales, as I just mentioned before. What are the correct marketplaces? What are the specific of those marketplaces? What is the best price strategy? Because in the end, the goal is obviously to be sustainable, but we want also to be profitable. That means that we want to sell that product to the best price. And we always say to the best recovery, because the recovery would then be the resale price that you sold your item for, and then that has a little difference to the original price. But once having an idea of that, what will we do then?
Yeah, if you were able to tick out all of the boxes, congratulations. You could basically do it yourself or call yourself one of our competitors. If not, Also, no problem. There are solutions, and we want to show you how we would do things or what we bring to the table.
Exactly, because this is all about knowledge sharing, right? So once you feel like returns management might be something you would like to deep dive into and you would like to outsource this and work with a partner, there's these 5 steps we would say that you have a closer look at. Once, obviously, there is the question whether the solution fits your product. What do you have to look at this particular point now is that your product range. So as we just said, selling white goods is a different range than selling a coffee machine because you have to test them differently. Very often, openly saying, BuyBay, for example, is not the best at selling fashion, whereas we are performing super well in terms of consumer electronics as well as DIY categories, as we just said, from Contorion. So try to find a partner that is actually specialized in what you sell. Then, secondly, is the partner really interested into your success? Because, as I just said, there's partners being specialized, and therefore they will have those knowledge. If you find somebody who's like, yeah, I never done this before, just give it to me, you might be a bit suspicious about this, because you should not only go for some recovery, but for the best recovery, to then have the sustainability and the profitability united. And then in the third place, are those necessary processes even offered in your partnership? That means, do you wish to have your returns sent to your warehouse first or to your partner's warehouse directly? Or is it an idea maybe for us to send it from your warehouse and to then have the idea for the customers to send them the returns to our warehouse? So there's different processes which can be applied, and then so obviously be aware for the GDPR. Wiping is a very important topic in terms of data carriers, so this is very important here. And this also reflects the fourth part, which is the partnership that shall be transparent, flexible, and scalable. So what do we mean with transparency? Transparency obviously is important in every partnership, but what you should also look out for a partner that does a potential analysis, let's say, to see and to go into, let's say, expectation management, right? Have you done this before? What kind of recovery is to be expected so that the expectation from you and your partner are the same? And obviously the scalability in terms of once you have a special discount or reduction, so there is a peak season that is apart from Black Friday or Christmas, that you can use a scalable partner that could handle bigger amounts as well. And in the end, obviously very important in terms of sustainability, having the same goals, have a look at the culture, obviously. If there is somebody really being interested in your success, they will very likely do a lot of adaptations in terms of what you together want to achieve, than a partner who's very focused on profit, let's say. So if this is something you are interested in, we also have a blog post on this, but generally said, you could have those 5 points to look at once you search for a partner.
It's nice that you mentioned culture as the last point, because maybe that's the right time to talk about BuyBay and what we're doing. I skipped very much through one of my last slides where I wanted to talk more about the match between profitability and sustainability. So we said we are the most profitable and sustainable solution that you can have, because on the one hand, you have the consumer who is always price conscious and more looking for sustainability in their buying decisions. On the other hand, we have the organizations who are looking for sustainability now as well and want to make the most out of their products, right? So here's the profitability factor coming in. We try to combine that with our smart return and overstock management solution. So our mission at BuyBay is to reduce waste. So for example, we're also telling you, hey, maybe we're not the partner for every one of you, but if you have a very nice sustainable solution in place, good for you. Let's try to support you there. We're not the right fit for anybody, we know that. But our mission is to reduce waste in terms of sustainability and working towards a circular economy, for example, by efficiently using our resources and waste reduction along the processes and along the way. Therefore, we're using smart software, both in grading, transporting, handling the goods, as well as the bulk listing and also the pricing. And what are we doing? We're specialists in returns and overstock management, returns through our biggest marketplaces, partners in Europe, and the overstock selling, we do it ourselves on Beluga, which is our own auction platform, for example. The BuyBay has around 250 employees. We have around 50 in our offices, both in Amsterdam and Cologne, and about 200 in our warehouse in Wiegen that you saw earlier. We have our headquarters in Amsterdam, we have our warehouse in Wiegen, the Netherlands, and we're now located in Cologne, Germany. So we're both covering the Benelux part as well as the German market. And we're currently expanding throughout Europe, so we're right about to open a new warehouse in Poland, so maybe you will be our partner to open that friggin' door.
Yeah, and speaking about that we are already kind of active in Europe is here you can see that we already support a lot of maybe partners for you, maybe a market companion, maybe recently in the news you've just seen that we do like our win announcement with AO. You can here see that we have kind of a sweet spot in terms of DIY regarding Germany, and that we deal with different retailers and e-tailers that have a very diverse portfolios. So here it's very important, as we said, to be transparent and to have a good relationship in terms of the common goals. And maybe something that I would like to point out is that we just recently published our Contorion case study, in which we obviously explain how we do things with a partner of ours. In this special case, we have the situation that there's 3 parties involved because Contorion works with the fulfiller Fiege together. So we have kind of a triangle that is working out very well for us because we, for this reason, could increase the warehouse capacity of Contorion because returns are given to us in a sooner stage than collecting it in their warehouse until they can deal with it or until the bulk buyer would deal with it. Then there's also the fact that they could save resources for the processing because now they have us as a partner, then a partner that in the end will sell their products to a more profitable price than if they, for example, tried it themselves. And here, in this case study, feel free to ask us for it. It's also online. You can read about how we take also the synergies together. But as I just said, feel free to ask questions as well about the case story, but also in general, because this was our short presentation of 20 minutes to give you now 10 minutes in case you would like to ask some questions.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I had one thought about how much of your revenue is allocated over the wholesale B2B channel that is not on Amazon or any portals, and how much goes over, the rest.
Okay, so yeah, we have those 2 channels. So we have the marketplaces as well as our Beluga platform, which is our auction platform. So we have a huge buyer network behind that. Of course, there the margin is very different from the marketplaces. However, we can always say we're always better than your best bulk buyer. So what we always do, what you mentioned as well, is like the transparency that we're having. So whenever you have, for example, some pallets standing in your warehouse and you don't know what to do with it, always feel free to send us a list and we can give you like an analysis. We show you, hey, that's what we can do. Are you happy with it? Yes or no? Let's find a way to work together. But of course, the margin is differently from the marketplaces to the auction platform for sure.
Yeah. But if you meant the share, like how much we do on B2B and B2C, we are strongest in B2C. We're very transparent at, like, we are consumer electronics between 50 and 100 euros. This is where we perform best. We have those partners who say, hey, it's not only above 50 euros and it's not only B2C. What do you do with your B2B? So we have this other channels, as she said, Beluga, and we're growing there as well, as you just said, because of the buyers network we are keep on taking care of. But to give a rough idea, I would say rather 75 B2C, 25 B2B, even though we are strongly growing. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. But sometimes it's also that we start that way and then go over to the marketplaces, right? So, for example, we start with your overstocks or with the items of. I think you raised your hands when you said we do the returns inbound. So, for example, let's start with something that you're like. That sells very slow or something, and then we find our way to maybe use the products. We see that the quality is even better than just sending it to the bulk buyers, kind of, and then find our way to the marketplaces. So we will always try to find the best solution for you. Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Any other questions?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, girls, for your
Take it closer.
presentation.
Bit closer.
Is it okay right now?
Thank you.
Could you please just highlight the process of receiving the products from your customers before repairing them? I didn't get it from your presentation. Thank you.
Of course.
Sure thing. Let me get back to our overview here. All right. So what is important to say is that when the return happens, we are not in the picture yet. This is still with our partner. Like Konrad gets the notice, hey, somebody wants to return the item. And once this return has happened, like Konrad knows they will get back an item and they have to deal with this, this is when we come into the picture. And there's different options. Either, as I just said, the partner decides to collect the returns until one truck is full and they just send it to us. If they want it to be faster, there's even the opportunity to say, hey, customer returns automatically go to the BuyBay to Wijchen in Amsterdam to have the process faster.
Because you're focusing so much on circular economy and sustainability, do you provide any services to companies that specialize in like hardware as a service or leasing, like repeat leasing of hardware rather than just selling it to one person? Would you take things in, grade them, store them, and then send them out to new users? Or do you just take things in that are designed to be end of life and then put on a marketplace and sold?
So at the moment, what we, as you just said, we stick to once a return arrives in our warehouse, we keep it and we sell it on our platform due to our software being very closely linked between grading and the selling point, means that the final result of the grading then influences the selling, and then when we know the final grading, depending on the market level of those prices, the discounting is made within the system. What we want to do by end of this year, though, is to create a SaaS solution so that this knowledge and expertise can then be transferred to other warehouses or, for example, to partners who would like to do it on their own market channels. What we also do is, like, for example, in that case with Konrad, is they had their own market channel as well to see whether we can integrate our market, like this marketplace, to our actual existing system. So there's still a bright horizon for us to explore. And I think in terms of SaaS, there shall be heard more from us.
For sure.